There is more hope tonight that a deal will be announced very soon to release dozens of Hamas hostages being held in Gaza. Reuters reporting Qatari mediators were on Wednesday seeking to negotiate a deal between Hamas and Israel that includes the release of around 50 civilian hostages from Gaza in exchange for a 3-day ceasefire. The deal under discussion, which has been coordinated with the U.S., would also see Israel release some Palestinian women and children from Israeli jails and increase the amount of humanitarian aid allowed into Gaza. And when President Biden seemed willing to say this yesterday, it sure sounded like it may be imminent.
I've been talking with the people involved every single day. I believe it's going to happen, but I don't want to get into detail.
What's your message for the families?
Hang in there, we're coming.
There are 240 or so hostages being held by Hamas right now, including at least 9 Americans. Tonight, Israel confirming one hostage has given birth while in custody, meaning her newborn baby is now a hostage as well. We also learned this week a 3-year-old American child, orphaned when her parents were killed in the attack, is being held by Hamas. Still, even as news of the potential deal broke, some Israeli officials telling IDF radio the number of hostages was too low. Quote, "We demand the release of more abductees." Hamas has previously claimed it was prepared to release up to 70 children and women in exchange for a 5-day ceasefire with Israel. Joining me now is Joel Rubin. He served as Deputy Assistant Secretary of State under the Obama administration. Thanks very much for coming on. Appreciate it. All right, so do you think this is going to happen? I mean, it seems like Hamas, I guess, has agreed and the ball is in Israel's court. What do you make of all this?
Well, Dan, it certainly seems like a real negotiation is underway and that there's bartering now. Once this gets to the public eye, as you're describing, that means that we're close, but we're not there yet. And the further it extends, meaning a day here, another day going on, the families are going to weigh in, and there's going to be a lot of pressure in Israel to get them released. But there's also a lot of pressure to not relieve the pressure on Hamas that the Israeli military is enacting. And so I'm cautious on this. I think that the contours of the deal will continue, but the sign-off, not yet, because Israel really is making significant gains in northern Gaza and does not want to give Hamas a chance to regroup.
Well, let me ask you about that. I mean, it seems like big picture, this could be a win-win, if you call it that, in that Hamas gets to unload some of the most politically sensitive hostages. And yet, since Israel is now so deep in Gaza, couldn't they prevent Hamas from, rearming in a significant way?
The way Hamas is playing this is that they are trying to regroup underground. And Israel does not yet know exactly where all of the Hamas soldiers are and where its command and control is part of the process of identifying those locations. Any delay, any pause could give Hamas a chance to not just regroup, but to fortify underground. And that's the real concern. It is crucial to get the hostages out. It is essential that the people who were stolen from southern Israel are returned to their families. But if Hamas can regroup and Israel then gets threatened again in the south because of that, that's going to have a longer term impact that I think that there's going to be a lot of pushback in the security channels against a partial release.
So do you think it's more likely going to be Hamas or Israel who is going to balk at this?
It very well could be Israel in the near term. Hamas sort of is the one in the driver's seat on this discussion. They have these hostages, and they have not allowed the International Red Cross in. Nobody knows where they are. It's a grave human rights violation. It's putting people underground and hiding them for no purpose other than to extract concessions. And right now, the concession that they need, the number one that they need, is to relieve the military pressure on them. And that's a tall ask for the Israeli people to endure. But I think that there is also a sense in Israel that a partial release could be very problematic. We've seen this before in Jewish history. We've seen the selections of who gets to stay, who gets to go. I was at a briefing this morning. I saw this film at the Israeli embassy of the attacks in southern Israel by Hamas. And I had a feeling in the pit of my stomach that it reminded me of a feeling I had when I walked in the death camps in Auschwitz as a young man, seeing those death camps. This is very deep. The Israelis do not want to leave anyone behind, and a partial choice that really will leave a very salty taste in the mouth for the leadership. And I think that's why they will be hesitant to go partial and allow Hamas to regroup.
All right. Important analysis here from Joel Rubin. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Dan.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.